Have you guys heard about a guy named Simeon Toko?
Simeon Toko.
No, never.
Toko.
How do you spell it?
Simeon. No, Simeon. Simeon.
I like
Have
Simone.
you guys heard of Simeon Toko?
No, yeah, I have actually. Now that you say that,
No, I haven't. But I didn't want our connectors to get confused.
They're like typing it. They're like, "Who's this Simon guy?"
Yeah.
Like, he's not. I'm not finding him. So he's born in 1927 in Africa, and he grew up basically and had similar traits to that of, we'll say, like Jesus. He could do a lot of miracles. The religious powerhouses at the time out there did not appreciate it because he was not preaching like their religion. And so, as corrupt religious leaders do, they hired somebody to get rid of him.
Seems Christ-like.
Yeah, of course. So what happens was they go and take a shot at him, hits him up top, goes down, people see it, and the guy who pulled the trigger...
In what context is it? Is he fighting or is he just talking?
No, he's just like on the street, just like preaching.
Now, and when you say they hit him up top, like they domed him?
They domed him.
Oh, dang.
So it opened up.
Assassination
people see
style.
it, he runs away, yeah. And
Crazy.
People there witness that it comes back together.
What?
And he pushes himself back up, dusts himself off, and continues preaching.
Like Wolverine style.
Wolverine style. So
that's sick. I want to do that.
So word gets back, and they're like, okay, maybe this guy, like, he has whatever black magic powers, right?
Right.
We need to, like, eliminate him. So they go to get some help from Big Brother in the United States to bring in the big guns.
Good old CIA.
Yep. They come in.
We wouldn't do that.
We wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, no.
They come in, and he, like, knows what they're trying to do to him. And so they have this whole confrontation. They end up grabbing him, attacking him, killing him, and then they watch as he then, like, regenerates himself back.
Dude.
So they then...
It's like an X-Files episode.
Report back what they've seen, and they come up with an idea. Well, we know how we can stop him. This false prophet that's signed up with dark magic and is evil. We will take him. So they made a mockery. No, they made... I can't think what the word is now. They faked him out of being like, hey, we want to hear about you. We want to learn about you. We don't want, like,
we don't want to hurt you.
Forgive us for doing this. We just want to, like, make peace. And so they meet on an airplane. And
who's they again?
Big Brother.
Big Brother.
Okay.
U.S.
Just
Arms.
whoever it is.
U.S. Arms, yeah. And on the plane, as they're talking, they then take him, execute him, put him through a meat grinder, put him into...
Oh, so they're like, we know he's miraculous.
Yeah.
So we better bring a meat grinder. They don't think, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill him.
No,
maybe that's
because
a bad
they're
idea.
like, well, he regenerates. So what we need to do is get rid of him, put him through a meat grinder, put him in multiple boxes.
Ah, how shall I do it? Oh, I know. I'll turn him into a flea. A harmless little flea. And then I'll put that flea in a box. And then I'll put that box inside of another box. And then I'll nail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer.
That couldn't, like, metal steel things that you can't.
Like,
nothing's coming out of.
Time out. So this is me every time I watch a slasher film. You know, they'll, like, desperately, like, grab something on the wall and smash them on the head, and they fall down, and then they're like, oh, and then they just walk away. I'm like, no, now, then I would say what they...
Yeah. Now you got to deal with the body.
So
Now you got to chop their arms off. You got to do all that. So they put him in a meat grinder, put him in these different boxes,
Oh, dude.
these steel things, and separate them into different places, different boats. They go out, spread them all out throughout the ocean. So it's like he can't regenerate because the skin is not going to be able to come out of these boxes that they're in. And so
His like
they don't
livers
meet
in
for a while, right?
the Marianas Trench. His
Right.
head's in the Arctic
There's
Ocean.
no word of him,
God.
nothing from Africa. And they're like, good job. Like, we did it. We got rid of him. That worked. And a couple months later, they're meeting, and who walks in but Simeon Toko.
No way.
And he says to them, you obviously are not ready for me, but there will be a day when more of me will come, and you will not be able to stop us. And he leaves.
Wow.
What?
That's crazy. And so that happened in 1960, which would have made him 33 years old, born in 1927. And apparently, like, our freaking U.S. military
Killed
got
him.
in. Yeah, grinded him
Twice.
up. Yeah. And this tale's from our boy David Wilcock.
Dude, that's insane.
He was on a show, and he was telling this story of this guy who was just like preaching kindness and goodness, and
Healing
the
people. and-
oligarchies there, the power was like, he's leading people away from our religion, and so like we need to get rid of him. So let's get rid of him. Just
Wow.
hire some gun on the street. Doesn't do it. Comes back.
Dude,
It's freaking nuts.
there's literally that literally sounds like a combination of X-Files and X-Men
Yeah.
all rolled into one.
Well, it's that scene that I like think of on Deadpool. When he tries to kill himself, he's so sad, and he flicks a cigarette, and he's on top of all the explosives. He blows up, and then like over time he regenerates, but he has like that little tiny baby hand for a while. I might be combining the two different movies, but he's like got a little tiny baby hand, and it grows. So the space between when they chopped him up and like spread him across the ocean to get back, I wonder if like it took time to regenerate. Did like his followers find the boxes, put them back?
Oh, I
Could
see
he
what you're
just
saying,
like
yeah.
regenerate
Leave a
in a
twin,
new form?
Trees triplets.
Do you have a twin, the Prestige style?
Dude, I love that movie, The Prestige. So good.
Like,
Dude,
It's wild.
that is wild. Dude, that actually like. So I've been going through the X-Files. Mm-hmm. Dude, that show was like ahead of its time. But they had an episode that was somewhat similar, where like this kid's like in the Bible Belt, and he's like healing people, getting rid of their cancer. He's bringing people back from the dead. And like when he was a little kid, there was this like apartment fire. This guy got burned terribly. He's dead, and he goes and like holds his hand. And his dad's with him, and he's like, yeah, heal him, son. And he like heals this guy. This guy comes back to life, and spoiler alert, in case you're going to go and watch it. Sorry, I'm going to tell you the ending right now. But what ends up happening is this kid ends up getting like, he loses his fame in this area of people trying to come and heal him, because the guy that he saved that got burnt to a crisp, imagine if you were burnt to a crisp, were revived, and then you had to go through all the healing process of like 3rd-degree burns all over your body, and
the
he's
reason he died?
disfigured, and he's like, dude, like you brought me
so he
back.
doesn't like heal them like in their skin.
No, he just brought him back to life.
puts their spirit back in their body.
Exactly. And so then this guy like ends up hating him, but like ends up being with him and like helping him and serving him and like working with his dad for like all these years. And then he ends up poisoning the people that he's trying to heal, and they end up dying. And then everyone's like, now he's killing people. Something's wrong with him. And the police get involved, and then he ends up going to like he's about to go to jail and stuff. But then he ends up getting shot and killed, and this little kid. And anyways, it's a crazy episode, but dude, it reminds me of like
I love the X-Files.
that kind of stuff. But I will say it. I don't know, dude.
It's a wild one. It's a wild one.
No, it is. But like, there are stories of people that like, you know,
I just always think about like if Christ returned today and was talking out against world leaders, like, well, I mean, what would they do? I guess they
Well, especially if like you had
back then, they would just do it again.
Yeah.
I'm reading some more about this. Like, he was arrested, and this was reported by the people on the plane, but they're like, well, we'll just throw him from this plane. But the plane mysteriously stopped in midair at his command.
Yeah. Can't take out Simeon Toko.
Yeah. Pope John Paul the 23rd, I guess, sent people to be, and he implied that he was Christ returned.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too sacrilegious in the.
That's kind of crazy. That is kind of interesting.
It's like, sorry, everybody, the second coming did come.
Yeah,
And
we chopped him up and put him into boxes.
Yeah, and now he's not coming back.
Yeah, that is interesting because he apparently called down some curses on the Edomites, which was, I guess, the enemies of the tribesmen in Angola. They were worshippers of Baal.
Yeah.
So he was a Christian, the Christian versus Baal.
What happened to him?
They got destroyed by the armies of whatever side he was on.
Dang. Huh. What do you guys think about? Okay, so the whole idea of like miraculous healing. What are your thoughts on it?
I have so many different thoughts. Like, there's the doubting part of me.
Right.
Because so many people suffer and die, right?
Right.
But there's also part of me that we know that some people have like the gift of healing and stuff. And so I did have this one thing happen where my daughter Normandy, she was a little girl and she was sick as a dog. And this isn't like,
Right.
She wasn't like burned to death or anything. But when little kids, they don't really figure that they're just really like cuddly and like they just lay there and
Yeah.
They just don't feel
sick.
well.
You can tell.
They're not playing. I think she was probably, she's probably 5.
Yeah.
So, it's just, there's no fake, she's not faking it. She doesn't want to go to school. She probably wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So my wife calls me, I come home and I gave her a blessing. And I just remember this feeling like Normandy has, and she's always had it. And I just asked her, hey, do you think this will work? We always talk about it beforehand. She's like, yeah, I believe it'll work. And then I gave her the blessing, and I'm not joking. I took my hands over her. She just stood up, started running around, playing. Fever was gone.
That's cool.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Now, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't even share that with out on YouTube like this, but because it is a pretty special story from our family. But I think my point was Normandy, I think, has that ability to like
right.
To I don't think everybody has it.
Yeah.
To be healed.
To be healed, yeah.
Right.
And then there's people who can
the
heal.
faith.
Then there's people that can heal
Yeah.
and gifts. I can't remember the scripture, but it's like, the power to heal, the power to be healed, the power to have faith, the power to...
Yeah, right.
So I do believe it.
Yeah.
It's just also, I want to doubt it all the time.
Yeah. See, me, like, I don't know. So there's that piece of it that I've I've had my own personal experiences and seeing things like that happen. But then there's the other side of it where I'm like, I don't know, when I see like some stories or like, it's funny, even like watching that X-Files episode, I'm like, it's fake. It's totally fake. This guy's faking it, right? But because it reminds me of another amazing show, Psych. There's an episode,
another classic,
where the characters Spencer and Gus are investigating murders on a football team, and Gus ends up going undercover as one of the team like medicine assistants, and part of that role is that he has to like massage the football players after, and he's like, these hands are not touching him.
Training intern, and I've been setting up massage tables for the last hour. You know what they do on those massage tables, Sean?
They play Connect 4.
They massage men, big hairy men. Look, let me be very clear. These hands are not touching anyone. I only use these hands to touch myself. Let me rephrase that. Please.
And so there's this funny scene where Gus is in there and he's like looking at this guy and he's like, I'm not going to do this. And he looks up and Spencer's over there like, do it. And he's like, no, I'm not doing it. And so then what he does, and the guy's like, are you going to start? And he's like, I've already started. And he's like, I don't feel anything. He's like, you will. I learned this technique from a, Tai Chi.
The Reiki.
The Reiki or whatever. And then what he does, he sees a lamp on the desk and he brings the desk over and puts the lamp on. He's like, can you feel the heat? He's like, yeah, man, that's amazing. How do you do that? He's like, years of practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's parts of me that like see those scenes. It's a hilarious scene. But then it makes me think that like,
Yeah.
sometimes, like, is it a miraculous healing? Is it faked? Is it, I don't know. So I don't know. I'm on both ends of the spectrum on that. I think sometimes it's just hocus pocus. And other times it's like real. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the ones that are real you don't hear about that often.
I think because there's those that work in the medical field and they chalk it up to just like yeah, they had a miraculous like recovery, you know, like
Yeah. Can't explain
and
it.
it's like, does it happen so often that they just chalk it up? Because I think like we were all in banking for years,
Right.
like that would be like if just all the time, like sometimes people wrote a check that didn't have any money in it and it just the check
Cleared
never
anyway.
bounced, it just cleared.
And their account never went in the negative.
Right, and
Don't
then we're just
understand
like,
it.
yeah, hey, that, you know, that happens
Makes
sometimes.
sense.
Like, it defies logic, but it happens. And so I'm like, does it happen so often? That's why they're like not as impressed by it, or are there things that we don't see that like doctors did that they didn't like know what's
Right.
happening?
Right.
But I'm like, I feel like I've had things where I've been like sick and been recovered quickly. And it's
Yeah.
like, that I don't know where to put that. Like, well,
see-
I know where to put it, but I'm like,
Yeah. And then that brings me to a whole nother thing. You brought up like the checks and stuff. Like, I don't know what like the actual term is. You know, if there's like a more special term or a better word for it. But like, you guys have obviously like heard of like the like mantra or the mindset of like, if you put it out in the universe, it'll come back to you.
manifesting, baby.
Yeah, but like stuff like that where it's like, you know, because I've had it on several occasions, especially when I was like, you know, young family, not making a lot of money, and I'm like, oh man, we've got rent to pay, and I don't even have any money. And then all of a sudden, you get like a refund check from a medical bill you paid like 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
it's like just enough money to
Yeah.
cover your rent, and you're like,
You're just like,
dude, no way. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm like, I immediately, I'm like, get on my knees. I'm like, oh, thank you.
yeah.
But then it's like, is it being willed into existence? Because you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, because I know where it is, like how I feel it comes from. I feel like that those things are like, you know, divine intervention in our life. But I think for a lot of people, it's like how do you make sense of those situations like miraculous healing,
Well, the hard
money
part
showing up
is
that
it's
wasn't
like
supposed to be there? You know
Divine
what I mean?
intervention is great and it's amazing, but then there's so many other chances where there isn't divine intervention. And then I think to acknowledge one side is like, well, then why doesn't it happen all the time?
Right.
And that's where it's like, once we know everything at the end of all this, I'm sure it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Why? But it's hard to say like why, who gets to pick and choose. And I feel like that in my
Right.
own life, like with stuff, mistakes and stuff that I've done, like others aren't as lucky, you know? And so it's like, why, you know? I don't know. You just,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
It's
Life
almost like
is,
we think of fairness, God being a fair God. It's almost like it's not true, but it could just really what I think is we just don't understand what fair means.
right.
Right.
You know, like your kid has a homework assignment. This is such a mild thing, right? So they hate it. Well, some parents don't make them do it.
Right.
They let them not do it.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's not fair. Those two kids aren't being treated the same, but which kid is being treated better?
Right.
Well,
It's like, well, what's your outcome?
yeah.
Like, what are you?
And then I almost hate to do this, but then even then, like in the, you know, you have a family member that gets an illness and a fatal illness even.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and this other person, this Simeon guy, well, he got healed from a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah.
And my, you know, so-and-so died of whatever.
Right.
So, well, that's not fair. You know, or maybe not only Simeon, but, you know, you hear people like, oh, they don't have cancer anymore. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
And
And
then
people
you
are
have a family
passing
member who
away all the
dies.
time,
And it's like,
yeah.
well, in a larger sense, where I'm going, I don't know if I believe this yet, but I think this could be the truth. Well, everyone's where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And everyone's getting what they need because this life really is just a probationary state. It is just a test.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then even the worst things that we think about happening on this earth
Don't really matter.
aren't eternal things.
Yeah.
Right.
The bad things go away, and then the good things stay. And so then that's what you just have to trust, right? Is that, okay, that's terrible, and I'm stressed, and this sucks. And then, but also, I needed this. I knew, and the other thing that kind of bends my mind a little is like, I personally believe, like, I knew kind of what I was getting into. Like, all right, well, here's your situation.
Yeah.
You're heading to Tremont in Utah.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. You know, my daughter, well, you're going to be a labrum, but you're going to go meet this other lady.
Yeah.
Who's, you know, in a drug den first.
Yeah.
You're going to go to a few parties. They're going to be pretty lit.
Yeah.
A lot of tattoos. But then you'll make it to the labor night that she knew. So she's like, sure.
Yeah. I'll sign up for it.
So I'll sign up for it. So then that I don't know, maybe that could just be me, like, you know, making it feel better. Those people that are suffering and at least knew about it and were volunteering for it.
I totally subscribe to that. I think we pick not that we pick, but I feel like we accepted whatever trials and stuff that we are coming into, right? And I think that everybody has their own, you know, God-given strengths and talents. And I like the way that you're like, this is just like a test time for us. And so once we're past it, like, we're past it. And we don't know that.
The boo-boos will fade. Saying boo-boos might be too disrespectful of people that are really suffering, but like, the terrible things will fade. Mm-hmm. And but the good things will endure. Like, your family will be there, your knowledge will be there. And so it's like, we're pulling away from the bad things and taking the good things with us, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, it's painful, right? Hurts out. But once it's over.
It's over.
It's like, oh, yeah, this is better.
It even helps me kind of look at some people because I think a lot of people, and I'm judgmental. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. But, you know, you see people and they're struggling. Maybe they're a drug addict. Or, you know, they did it. I hear it all the time. Oh, they're just doing it themselves. Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I think that statement's actually more true than anyone thinks. Like, they literally knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
They still voluntarily came into this as a freaking extra difficulty.
Like,
And so then
50,000 pounds of trials on my back.
Yes.
Yeah, give it a shot.
And it might take me my whole life, even beyond my whole life, to overcome them.
Right.
But I'm still in. And so perhaps we need to look at these, like, insane people on Philadelphia streets that are doing the zombie walk and stuff. And we're like, wow, freaking hats off to you. That's
you subscribe to a tough one.
That is next level.
Yeah.
And you know, have some love and compassion and maybe even respect for them.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, what a great way to end the episode. Yeah. I love it. Well, you guys have been watching Connect the Dots. Fielding. Travis Fielding. That was weird. That would have been cool if you disappeared. But
I'll try.
Don't forget. Nothing. Maybe next time.
I don't get it.
Like, subscribe our content. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah, you don't know if get out of here. And don't forget, even more importantly, check out our new website, conthedot.com. You can get on there. You can actually even create your own profile and jump into the chat with all of our other connectors. You can start our own topic. You can chat about things. It's going to be lit. And as we get more subscribers, it's going to get even better. And most importantly, you're a champion. Don't forget it. Keep your North Star true and keep following us. We're going to be back with more content. We'll see you next time.